Whoa, that ball is out of here.
And coming right for us. I caught it. And I earned 3% back when I bought this glove online with my Bank of America customized cash rewards card.
Be your own hero. Earn 3% back in the category of your choice, including online shopping with the Bank of America customized cash rewards card. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/customized cash. What would you like the power to do?
This episode is brought to you by Essentia. A better you starts with better hydration. Essentia is on a mission to inspire people to do what matters most. Their proprietary ionization process transforms water from any source into ionized alkaline water, providing water that's 99.9% pure with a pH of 9.5 or higher. Essentia overachieving H2O, the #1 ionized alkaline water. Shop now.
My socials have got low engagement. I'm spending all this money on ads and I'm not getting sales. What do I do? And you've really got to look at your marketing mix and go, how can I actually reach people in maybe organic ways that help establish my brand?
Hello, Millionaire University. It's me, Kirsten, and we have an amazing episode for you today. You're going to be so intrigued if you've ever wanted to develop something, invent something, and see if you can actually sell your idea, because today we have Lou Rice, who's going to come on and share exactly how she did just that. I know sometimes we think this is what you have to do to be successful, is create something new that's never been done before. And 9 times out of 10, maybe 99.9% of the time, that's not going to be the case. You're going to be adding your own spin to something that already exists and just making it your own. But then somebody like Lou comes along who her and her partner literally created a product that didn't exist yet. And so this is going to be an insight into what that's looked like from beginning, the idea, concept, into now where she has a very successful, thriving business. So I'm excited for you guys to hear her story and to learn what she has done with her entrepreneurial spirit to build an income for herself based on something that didn't even exist yet. So let's get into it with Lou Rice. Welcome to the podcast, Lou. It's so nice to meet you. And I know that we're going to share a really fun story with our audience that's also going to give them incredible value and how they can follow in some of your footsteps with building a business the way that you have. So thanks for coming on and being willing to share all of that with us.
No problem. I'm very excited. Thank you for having me all the way from Bondi Beach down in Australia.
Love it. We love that this world of podcasting can just open us up to a completely unlimited universe of people. It's so wonderful to be able to connect with you. And it's the end of the day for me. I believe it's the beginning of the day for you tomorrow.
Yes. Yeah. I'm a day ahead of you, 10 a.m.
Love it.
It's a vibe.
It is. So why don't we start with your story so that everybody can hear what you did. And even maybe after you give us the rundown of what you did, I want to hear about your entrepreneurial background. So if this was like first time jumping into any kind of business, or if you had some sort of experience that played into it. So maybe you'll answer that in your story. I don't know. Let's hear it.
Yeah, we have Strapsicle, the world's most comfortable Kindle accessory. And just so anyone watching at home can see, we started Strapsicle. I was on mat leave and baby Archie was about 3 months old. And it was that routine of eat and sleep on a 24-hour cycle. So it was maybe 2 a.m. in the morning and I was doing one of those marathon breastfeeds. And I was reading my Kindle because I know a lot of mums, we don't want to be on our phones all the time at that time in the morning. We're trying to be good. And reading the Kindle and just my eyes got heavy for a second. And literally the next thing I heard was Archie scream, burst into tears. I looked down. I realized I'd clocked him on the head with the Kindle. Ben came stumbling in half asleep and it was all a big drama. So we settled him back to sleep. And then the next day we were in lockdown. It was the middle of 2021 lockdown. And so we had nothing to do apart from raise the newborn.
Yes.
And so lucky he was a good baby. And my partner Ben is a bit of an inventor. He's a creative by trade. So he had a silicone mat at home and he fashioned this crude strap with staples and he gave it to me to try. And I tried it out reading on my Kindle for the next few weeks. And I was like, this is great. I don't want to go back to a naked Kindle anymore. And so we did a little survey with our friends and family and everyone was up for it. So we thought, let's just give it a go. We had nowhere to go, nowhere to be.
Nothing else to do.
Yeah, both on mat leave. So we were like, let's just do it. And actually that probably ties into mine and Ben's entrepreneurial journeys because I think both of us have been wannabe entrepreneurs. Ben's had a lot of product ideas over the years as a creative. He likes to solve things. I remember I found notes from a life coach I saw back in London 15 years ago about businesses I could start. And then I also had my own digital marketing business. And then I actually just sold an app that I started as well.
Wow.
So I've dabbled, but I think, and I remember doing some work with a coach around finding your purpose and what are the things you like about business. And I realized product business is it for me. Like I have amazing customers, but I don't have to worry about clients. Mm-hmm. So it's a great win. And just the adrenaline rush of seeing the sales come in every day is just, I'm done. I found my calling.
Absolutely. And you said you've dabbled in digital marketing, and I'm curious to know, and you just explained it, that it's nice to just have the customer and it's an end user. It's different than having a client, but how would you even compare that? Did you ever sell any just passive digital products like courses or templates or anything like that where it could be similar to a physical product business where you're just done?
No, I didn't get to that. And I think that would be the natural flex from a service-based business, right? That's where you can make some good money. I'm thinking relative to my corporate job, which was advertising. So I've been we call them account managers over here at Suits. I've been a Suit for nearly 20 years, and all I've done is manage clients.
Yeah.
So I think, and I only left that job in February, 4 months ago. So so I was building the business part-time. I was working 3 days a week when I went back from mat leave, and then building Strapsicle just in the 2 days I had. But I think when I left, I was like, I loved my clients, but also being at the beck and call of someone.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be out of that.
That does sound refreshing when you've been in that world, so immersed in it, where you're not, I feel like work is never done, right? When you have clients like that, there's always a need and you can never really put your brain fully to sleep. But with a product business, I'm sure there's different stressors, but I can see it being totally different. So let's jump from, we developed this and we started doing some product research with our family and we launched it into now. Where are you guys at in terms of the business? You were able to leave your job, so obviously things are going well.
Yeah. So we've only been going 2 years. We're just heading out the close of our second year. The first year was good, but it's in the last year that we've really seen the massive growth has come. So I think when we first launched, we were bubbling along. I had some good success with affiliate marketing and finding micro influencers. The general tried and tested strategy of identify your niche, get down into your niche as much as you can, and then find out where they're spending time. For me, I didn't even know about the hashtag BookTok. I don't know if BookTok.
I do now, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. It's huge, millions and millions and millions of girls and guys, but predominantly girls. And they've all got reading accounts and it's just dedicated to books. And then within that, there's a subcategory of obviously Kindle lovers. Mm-hmm. So I was just able to go through that and reach out and find people who would be happy to take some product, try it out. And because we were novel and new, people would test it and go, I love this. I'd give them an affiliate code. And so I was able to build really good traction that way because obviously you're leveraging someone else's platform. Their followers trust them. So then they're just coming to buy from you because they trust that influencer. And so we were able to grow using that as a largely organic means of marketing. But it was when I got us on Amazon about 5 months in that just blew us up because I think we are the perfect product for Amazon. Obviously, Amazon sells their Kindles, hey, come get us next. Yeah. And then just the way I think you in the US, the way you use Amazon, it's I think 50% of searches start with Amazon, which is huge, right? So if you're already on that platform, you got a foot in the door. That has accelerated our business through to the end of the second year.
Amazing. Okay, so there's a lot of steps in between there, and I want to dive into this because there's probably several people listening, hundreds, thousands of people who are like, yes, that sounds like my jam. I want to sell physical products. I personally have sold on Amazon. I know how lucrative it can be. I feel like I left the game and should have stuck with it because I think things were starting to change, and if you saw it through, you could be doing really well by now. So you in 5 to 10 years is going to be a total just crazy thing. Let's talk through that because you started selling it independently, and I would even love to go a little bit deeper dive For people who are curious about maybe those first steps that you need to take to start getting exposure, you mentioned influencer marketing. Were there any other things that you did? And how long did the product itself take to develop? Because you had some ways to sell physical products by white labeling and sourcing products. Yours was a totally original thing. So what was the investment like? And what was the timing like when you went from idea to having something to sell?
Yeah, okay. I'll start from the beginning and break that down. So once we decided, let's give this a go, we were lucky to find a manufacturer. We do make them in China because obviously it's so cost effective. But we were lucky to find someone that our friends are already using. And I think that is probably half the battle when you're starting out, is actually finding a trustworthy manufacturer. And they've been wonderful. We're still with them. So we were able to go back and forth on designs. Luckily, Ben has that skill of drawing technical things. Not me. So he was able to get that pretty good. And then they were able to do the CAD drawing back. And so it probably took us, and then they made us the mold. And I think back at the time, I think it was like $500 US for the mold. And at the time, it's wow, money. But you just got to know that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do up front. So we probably went through 2 molds before we got the straps perfect tension. And then we were lucky we were able to order just a minimum order quantity off that sample mold of 500 units. So I know, again, sometimes the minimum order quantity can be thousands. So, but you can always ask, right? Sometimes if you don't ask, you don't get the information given to you. So always pays to ask and be a bit cheeky about it too. So we did our first run of 500 and literally I think they came and they sat there for 4 months at our house while we faffed around with the website and kind of raised our child. And then I was like, look, we've just got to do this. So we didn't have a marketing plan. We didn't have any kind of idea of how we were going to launch it. But I remember listening to a podcast with, she's quite well known here in Australia, Anita Sarkar, who has a sustainable packaging label. And she talked about giving away free samples to get your first customers. And I'm like, let's just do that. So we literally launched, we're giving away 200 free of charge. You just pay for shipping. And I promoted that through my LinkedIn. I promoted it through 3 or 4 Facebook groups that I'm in. So a local one here, which had 130,000 members, and then some female entrepreneur groups. And just by doing that, I think we sold like 100 in the first week. And that sounds relatively small, but that was such an adrenaline rush. But also it was just all these people was willing to back us. And looking back now, we just had one size. We didn't even say what size Kindles or Kobos our straps fit. And it was only like a couple of months and we were like, oh, there's actually other sizes that these don't fit. So we had to make some new sizes. So totally naive, but that kind of adrenaline rush really kicked us off and gets money in the door, right? So then you go, okay, what's next? And so then we decided to start reaching out to the micro influencers. Again, that was through a podcast I listened to. So I think consuming all this content around how to launch, how to use smart marketing tactics is so valuable because stuff will stick.
Yeah.
And then you've just got to be scrappy and you've just got to try everything. So I was literally hitting up 10 to 20 influencers every couple of days. And these were micro, like 2,000 to 3,000 followers. But what that did for me, as I said, was I leveraged their platforms. I leveraged their trust. They then created content that I could then use for ads on my socials. And so now to the point of, until recently, we've just hired a content creation agency. But until recently, we never needed to create new content because every day we have people tagging us or customers. I think in the beginning, I see a lot of entrepreneurial groups and I see a lot of people going, oh, my socials have got low engagement. I'm spending all this money on ads and I'm not getting sales. What do I do? And I think you've really got to look at your marketing mix and go, how can I actually reach people in maybe organic ways that help establish my brand? So, and if you're happy to, and if you're comfortable to, you as the face of the brand, I would say that is one of the most powerful things you can do as an early stage founder because that's unique.
Yeah.
So if you're like, I'm Lou, I've just started my journey. Every message I sent to a influencer would be like, small Australian family business. It started because of dropping my Kindle on Archie's head because I wanted people to know that about us.
Yeah.
So I think getting your face out there, getting your brand out there, but in ways that are connecting, even if you're just doing it one-on-one with potential customers, it can be so powerful. And then when you get some money in the door, then you can start to look at paid solutions.
Yeah.
So we did move on to Facebook ads after that.
That's a really interesting and important point, because I think sometimes we can get impatient and it feels like everybody's talking about just do the attraction marketing, grow the audience, use social media, and you can get in front of so many people. But when you yourself, you were just developing the product as well. You had this full-time business trying to sell. And so it's a whole other full-time business to create a ton of content. So you got, like you said, scrappy with how can we leverage organic social without having to create endless content. And I think that is one of the geniuses of using micro-influencers and affiliates with your product, because you're just doing the reach out. And I think a lot of times people don't want to do that. They just want to, it's like a badge of honor to say, I've never cold sold. I've never gone into anybody's DMs and told them what I'm doing. And it's like, how's that been, just creating content for literally zero income for a long time when you could just send a message? But that's something a lot of people won't do. And I love the approach of making it personal too, and communicating this is a small family business, because that you probably connected with your ideal promoter on that level, because a lot of those micro-influencers are doing the exact same thing. They're building a business, but in a different way.
That's exactly right. And I think it's all of those things, right? It's like at the beginning, leverage what you can in terms of this is our brand. How do you make yourself really known? I find that so interesting that people just don't want to cold sell. I don't even see it as cold selling. It's literally like, I have a new product. I'd love for you to try it. And if you like it, leave us a review. I never asked for them. I wasn't like, you have to post 2 reels and 10 stories. And they just did it because they were chuffed that they were being asked to try out a new product. And then I remember reading or hearing early on, again, from some podcast, Paul Graham, I think, who says, do the things that don't scale. And then there's that whole philosophy of build your 1,000 raving fans, build your community, and that will just help you sell. And so that for me was the reaching out to the influencers. That was like, if we got a negative review on Amazon, I would be in that person's DMs on Amazon because you can message them, which is good if it's below 3 stars. And I would just be like, how can we make this better? What's the issue? And usually it was a sizing issue. So I was able to turn kind of 1-star reviews into 5-star reviews. And again, I would be like, I'm Lou, family-run business in Australia. We're not one of the big kind of faceless companies on Amazon. So I honestly think, and I think with social media now, posting on Instagram and Facebook, just as you would normally, it's not going to get you huge traction unless you become a master of reels. I think looking at those platforms like TikTok or YouTube or Pinterest, where the organic reach opportunities are still great. And I would just put my focus there. Even on TikTok to get started again, I know people are like, I don't know what to post. I don't want to put my face up. I would just we did a few videos and then we would get comments on them and I would just reply with videos answering people's questions. That was my strategy in the early days. And I was terrible, but it was enough to get my face out there. It works. Yeah. Now we have a content creator team, which is great. But yeah, I think it's trying all the things. I was in Reddit. I was in Reddit commenting on because I found people talking about Strapsicle. So I was in there talking.
Wow.
Yeah.
You were not afraid. That is a huge factor. That's a character trait. And something I think it requires to be an effective founder is you were not afraid of the negative feedback. You got right in there. You were even like seeking it out. What are people saying? How can I improve the product? And that is something that holds so many people back from making the product better and making sure that they really are selling something genuine. I've been guilty of that even with digital things where I'm like, I don't want to hear negative stuff. I'm just going to ignore the negative reviews. But it could have been great feedback to improve the things that I was teaching rather than it being a total critique and slam of what you've created. You just can't make it personal in that way. You're making it personal, by reaching out, connecting, being a human being, but not personal in that this product represents my value and my identity. So that's huge.
I am not me. I am not my product, and my product is not me. Yeah,
I love it.
I'll give you an example of that. Recently, I found this. A friend of mine was helping me, and she's look at these great Facebook groups, Kindle Girlies, 150,000 members. It's your perfect audience right there, and it's amazing. I'm going to go join, and I'll have a look and see if anyone's talking about Strapsicle. And I joined, and I found this post, and it said, "Here can't stand Strapsicle," and it had about 70 comments from various people. Most people talk about the straps are too tight on my ClearCat. And I was like, at first few minutes, I was like, oh, my life is over. Our product sucks. I'm closing the business. And then I was like, no, hang on. This is a way for us to really get to know our audience better. We're in the process of thinking about making the straps a little bit looser.
Yeah.
So I reached out to the admins with their permission. I put up a post and said, look, I know that some of you don't care for Strapsicle, but I would love to know all and any feedback because we're in the process of changing things and I want to get your input because your input is the only thing that's going to make our product the best product it can be. And I had 300 comments on that post. It just blew up. A lot of people advocating for us, but then a lot of people giving us honest feedback. And it wasn't, none of it was negative. It was just feedback. And so from there, I've literally been able to pull 150 of those girls are now in a Facebook group I've created called the Strapsicle.
Wow.
To test our new products when they come out. So I literally now have my ideal customers in a Facebook group. And that's all just from being genuine, honest, and upfront.
Wow. I'm curious if the person who made the initial post is in that group. Is she one of your raving fans now?
I was just thinking that I'm going to go have a look. I think she was a little standoffish on my post, but I might go check it out.
Yeah, I'm very curious to know if you converted your greatest hater, right?
Yeah. I'll go check her out.
That's amazing. And again, like I said, it requires grit because starting a business is not for the faint of heart. You know this. You've been like most entrepreneurs where you have so many ideas. You have so many business ideas, but a lot of times it happens and it takes off when it's something that really does solve a problem. But even then, it wasn't an overnight success. You had something that was a really great product, but to hear the amount of things that you've had to do to grow that to get to a point where now it can be your full-time thing, I think people need to understand you can't skip past that. So it's important. It's essential.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
4th of July savings are happening now at the Home Depot. So get ready to go big with backyard barbecues for all your friends and family. Level up with the NextGrill 4-burner propane gas grill, now $199 from the Home Depot. Its extra large cooking surface is perfect for supersized entertaining. Take your grilling to the next level with 4th of July savings at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
What else do you feel like you did along that way that all founders need to know in the journey of going from beginning to finally making it?
Yeah, your job is to sell your product. So you need to put as much focus as you can into your marketing methods, whatever that may be, finding a good mix of what can work for you to help you find that audience, as we've talked about. And then I think, like for me, it's just knowing that you're going to actually have to work the hours and do whatever it takes to go, because there's always things you can do, but actually the mark of success for me is you're doing them. And so for me, like working 3 days a week and a 2-year-old, it was getting up at 4 a.m. sometimes to work those couple of hours, working late at night, weekends. We have nannies around because we don't have any family out here. And it's all just an investment so that you know where you're going. And then I think it's also just, making sure you're tapping into every channel opportunity. PR has been great for us. These kind of podcasts have got me opportunities I never would have thought of. And literally, I think you heard me on Nick Lopa's Side Hustle podcast. I literally just replied to his email, that newsletter that he sends out.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, I'd love to come on. He's come on.
Let's do it.
It's that easy. So I think wherever I've always been really good at, this sounds really weird, but the spray and play method, which is just put everything everywhere and just see what sticks.
That's amazing.
I think just know that, I know a lot of founders even at the moment are really getting stuck with meta ads, for example, because they're just not getting the return they used to, and they're boxed into a corner because they're spending all their money there and they haven't spent the time to build up other channels. And I think you just got to be smart about that. And then the other thing I would say I wish I'd done earlier, obviously we kicked off Amazon, and looking at those as opportunities to again connect with millions of customers with relatively little effort. So I think that would be something, if I was starting out again, I would definitely be looking at that from the beginning.
Yeah, go where the customers already are, right? There's so much value in using those affiliates and influencer marketing, but to be on, especially for you, selling a Kindle-friendly product is Amazon's definitely going to be your home base and your biggest driver of success. Are you guys utilizing TikTok Shop or anything else to sell the product?
I'm in the process of getting all the legal credentials to sell on TikTok Shop in the US. That would be the dream for me, but I have to basically be a US business. So working through all of that. It's coming to Australia in July. So of course I'll jump on that for sure. Yeah. We have just hired these content creators in the US whose job is literally to take us viral. Across TikTok. They're doing TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, and they've been amazing. They've been going for. So I think once we can work out as well the funnel for that. So they're obviously driving huge amount of traffic for us, but now how do we pull people down into conversion?
Yeah. Okay, so I want to talk numbers a little bit, and not your specific numbers, but I know this is another thing personally for us when we've started selling on Amazon, started doing e-commerce. It's easy to get caught up in, oh my gosh, we're making all this money. We don't want to spend. We want to actually be profitable, right? Like we want to keep all the money, but that caused us to stagnate where we weren't reinvesting. So what was that like for you guys as you were building this and you're bringing in probably some good money even right off the bat? And how did you discipline yourself, or what was that? What did that look like? And how long did it take you guys to actually take a paycheck from the business?
Yeah, that's such a good question because we are in that right now. That is the current edges, the uncomfortable edges we're up again. Yeah, so we had our first Black Friday last year, at first Prime Days and Black Friday. Huge. And we'd never done it, so we didn't know what to expect. And we're like, wow, okay, so now the pressure's on for the next one. But so we did have this profitable business. We banked up a nice bit of money in the bank. And obviously we were both working corporate jobs, so we didn't need to take a salary. And then when I finished in February, it's like I'm going to pay myself this. I'm going to basically match my part-time income from my corporate job, which was actually my challenge to myself to leave my corporate job. If I could save what I was making each month for 6 months, then it was time to leave. And so then I started paying myself a wage, and then Ben he's still in his corporate role, which helps. But then we kind of in the last 2 to 3 months have gone, we need to move really fast because who knows, there could be a direct competitor around the corner. We have our patents and we have our trademarks. You never know. And we need to move really fast and blow this brand up and become a household name. So we need to invest and we need to give some things a go. And if they don't work, okay, then we're a few $1,000s poorer for it. So content creators are one thing. I just was struggling with even trying to find the time to do it. And now these guys post 5 times a week across 3 platforms. So that lifted a whole pressure off me. Content creators are one thing. We've just hired a marketing manager part-time who's going to basically manage the e-commerce side of things so I can go and focus on wholesale and marketplaces, build that side of the business. Yeah. Because we want to be foot in the door with all those big box retailers that sell e-readers. Because we can make straps bespoke for any retailer. So that would be the opportunity there. And then I've hired an inventory manager who's amazing from Upwork. He's in Pakistan, but he has taken over all of the forecasting, managing all the shipping plans into Amazon. He's given me back like 30 hours a month probably.
Wow, that's so amazing.
He is like my best hire ever. Yeah. I'm just like because like my forecasting was like finger in the air. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to guess as many.
Should be good.
Yeah, should be good for a couple of months. Oh, no, it's not. So he's just built these spreadsheets and I love it. There's a few other things we're investing in. And literally, we looked at we did a kind of on a napkin, like what's our profit for April? And then if we add all these hires in, okay, that pretty much put us in negative. But we've just gone, look, you just got to do it. As you say, you don't want to stagnate. You've just got a big risk for big reward, I think.
Well, and you're stepping from that side hustle space to that CEO space, which is, it's probably that uncomfortable period of time when you're losing money at first to do that, but the long game means you're going to be able to do less, make more money, and scale that business so much bigger. But it's scary. A lot of people never transition from the side hustle into the CEO role because it's they don't want to lose that profitability and they'll just keep it simple, keep it small. But for better or for worse, like your company's growing and more people want to buy what you're selling. So that needs to happen. If you're not moving forward, you're going backward.
Yeah. And it's the time cost and it's the opportunity cost. So I have just the other big move I've made this month is move everything to a 3PL. So all my orders are being now done by someone else.
Yeah.
When I've had a girl coming in packing for me for so long and she could only come 3 days a week. So then I'm doing it on the other days. And I see people in the e-commerce groups I'm in, Facebook groups, who talk about still packing their orders however many years in. And for me now, I can see it's saving me at least an hour or two a day. But it's that mental load as well. Yeah, it just removes that mental load from me. And so I'm so glad I've paid for that.
Will you explain that to our listeners who may not be familiar with this at all, what that means, where you've gone from shipping from home and what a 3PL is?
Yeah, absolutely. So 3PL stands for third-party logistics, and what I think it's worldwide as an operation, but it's essentially outsourcing whereas I was generating the shipping labels, packing all the products in myself, and then leaving it out in a post bag for postie to pick up. Now I have hired, mine's actually a small family-run operation. So it's often a warehouse, but this is not a warehouse. This is just a big storage room in the back of their office, which is great. So they only have 3 brands in there. And so all my stock is now shipped to them. They get the orders through my Shopify account. They are picking and packing all the products for me every morning by 11 a.m. It's all done for the day and I don't have to do a thing. So I am paying them. You normally would pay a fee per order that's dispatched to that organization. I'm actually paying a percentage of my revenue for the month, which actually works out much more cost effective. But normally it would be maybe a big warehouse where you've got many brands in there all kind of sharing that space.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that, because I know that might be lingo that people aren't familiar with. And we functioned as a 3PL for a minute where we were consulting influencers. We were helping them develop their physical product business. And then we were sourcing and we were doing all the quality check, and then we were shipping it onto Amazon to sell FBA. So we had a 3rd-car garage filled with a lot of inventory. Like, what have we gotten ourselves into? But it was the same thing. We got paid on a percentage of the revenue. And so it was a win for everybody. But yeah, that's a really great option. And I think it brings that awareness too for people to understand that it can grow and it doesn't have to grow to where it's overwhelming. You have to now go build a whole warehouse space. There's other options along the way. Do you see yourself eventually having your own warehouse? Or do you think you'll always stick with just setting that aside?
Yeah, I don't. Because that product, it's so small.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You don't really need a huge building.
No, I think for people, big products and big orders, that I definitely see the need for it early on. I just think there's so many great options these days. Amazon has just launched, whether they've just launched, but I've just become aware of, they are now doing essentially a 3PL offering. So I can ship my products in there and they will ship them to, if I have wholesalers in the US, they'll ship out from there. So it's not just for Amazon. It's
options.
Exactly. And I think you just have to weigh up the cost.
Yeah. So what is scaling going to look like for you? Are we looking at introducing more similar products to Strapsicle? Or are you going to focus in on just building this one company, this product? There's the only variation is really the sizes, designs, looks, those types of things, right? There's no complementary products as of yet. Is that something on the horizon? Or do you see yourself really wanting to just hit this product line really hard for the next 5 to 10 years?
I think at least the next 1 to 2 years, it's how do we maximize the e-reader market. I think there's close to 1 billion e-readers in the world.
Wow. That's big.
From first production to now. So who knows how many are dormant. And it's projected, I think, to grow by 3% by 2027. So for us, it's if we can capture 1% of that market, we're okay. So we've got our straps, we have clear cases, we have extensions of the e-reader line. We're about to launch these cute little clutches that can then hold the Kindle.
Cute, so, love it.
Yeah, matching to the strap. People can see.
Of course.
Yeah, so that's hopefully increase the average order value. But I think the next thing for us is what's the extension of how people are reading on devices, and obviously the iPad. We get asked every day about the iPad. straps. So we're looking into what that could look like. So I think it would probably be 1 to 2 years, Kindles and e-readers, and then can we extend into other reading devices?
I'm curious if you're somebody who gets shiny object syndrome. Is this something that it's easy to stay in your genius zone and you're staying in your lane, or is it you have to keep yourself focused and you're easily distractible? I'm just curious.
Well, Ben is, I think, having mild ADHD because he's constantly all over the show. But I've always prided myself on my ability to multitask. But I think since working on this business, I have almost become as bad as him. Like I will jump from here to here. So shiny object syndrome in terms of there are so many things you can do to market your business and you're just trying to stay focused on one thing, even for this week or one thing for this month, or what's the big focus. We are trying to get better at that. I think I was getting quite hard on myself when I didn't achieve. I think my lists were unrealistic, my to-do lists were unrealistic, and then I wasn't prioritizing things properly. So I was being quite hard on myself. And I think mindset and building resilience and actually being kind to yourself is, I'd say the 2 critical skills that every founder or entrepreneur needs to have in their toolbox is mindset, support, and financials. I think those are the 2 things that are going to really help you be successful or not. If you don't have those mastered, you're probably going to burn out. Yeah. Burn down.
I agree for sure. And you're right. I guess I was even thinking it's easy to get shiny object syndrome. I'm the type of person who likes to try all the different businesses on for size. And then when I'm within my business, I do the same thing with marketing. There's so many different areas where you can get distracted and try to do it all. And at the end of the day, that's the simplest path is going to be the one to success, right? So it requires discipline, but I'm glad that you're doing it.
Yeah. It's a fine balance, because I would attribute our success to me being very kind of multitask focused. So I'm like spinning up Amazon, I'm spinning up Facebook ads, I'm doing this. And right now I'm like applying to be on Walmart and opening Amazon Singapore and just chipping away at these things at the same time. But then I think within all of that, I think, the prioritization of your days and your weeks. I hired a mindset coach. I'm working together for 6 weeks and it's just been wonderful.
Yeah,
wonderful.
It's a game changer.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. It's crazy how much somebody being on the outside looking in can help you get out of your way and stick to things and have clarity, and the growth is just exponential. So I agree. Okay, so let's wrap this up. We've talked through a lot of different steps and we haven't been totally linear. We've gone all over the place, but it's all been really great. So if I'm somebody listening and I want to go into a product business, if you started today, what are the 5 steps that you would take?
Such a good question. I think you need to have money set aside for legals and intellectual property protection. So you need to, before you launch, you want to make sure you've got trademarks, if you can get them patents, and get them in at least the 3 markets that you think: US, obvious, probably Canada if you're in Australia, but then you might even think the UK and the EU. I wish someone had told me that early on. So we did get that. We did get it in Australia. We got our design patent and we got our trademark, and then same for the US. But then there's like a grace period, and then you can't actually get it in other countries if you miss that grace period.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's like you have 12 months from your first filing, essentially, from a patent protection perspective. So you just want to if you have to borrow 10 grand, I would hands down do that. I think setting your business up in the right way. It's company structure, company bank account. Again, we were a partnership, so then I couldn't do a tax return. We're only just doing our first tax return now in our 2nd year. So I wish I had known that. I think finding a good manufacturer to produce your products, and you're just going to have to put pedal to the metal, ask around in as many places as possible and just go through that process. It's going to be painful. Yeah. But that's okay. You'll get there. And then I think, what else would I say? I think it's just, you don't need to have a plan to launch, but having a good understanding of your audience and where they are spending their time, and knowing how you're going to do what I'm advocating for, which is be scrappy, show up as you, as the brand, and leveraging as many organic channels as you can up front before you have to move to paid advertising. I think that would be something I would spend some time on.
I love it.
Oh, and also just your brand. So obviously you've got your logo, your tone of voice, but your brand and your brand identity. And it's that kind of understanding what you're all about, what your personality is. That's the thing that's going to protect you against any other copycats or competitors that come along.
I can attest to that for sure, because they do come along, especially when you're selling on Amazon. So it's really important to have that clear branding, and it helps you too in the promotion, because you reaching out to somebody in a DM and saying, hey, we have this new product and this is what it is and this is what it does, is going to totally connect differently if you have that whole brand. You have the name, you have a website you can send them to show, and not to make it super complicated. You can get started without the brand being perfect, but you can do iterations, right? But doing it, have something that's cohesive. And you feel like that's pretty important when you're selling physical products, right?
Exactly right. And my other favorite saying is cut a check to go faster. So if you have a little money and you can afford to get some help, outsource anything that's not your genius zone. If that's a VA to help you with customer service or your social posts, because you just hate the thought of doing social media, because then I just see how people just won't do anything on social. So find someone to replace you in those roles you don't like doing. The best thing I did with Amazon, I hired someone on Fiverr to set up all the listings for me and do the copy and do the images. And then I hired Amazon coach to review everything that had been done to make sure it was all best it could be. And that saved me so much time and stress, but also just find the experts in the space.
Yeah, and if you're listening, you're in the perfect place to do that. We've brought in so many different experts you're likely to find. We just need a whole, list of people's specialties so you can come and find what you need. Yeah, those are really good tips, and I think really important. Even people who have been trying to start a business like this, if you've skipped any of these steps, go back to the basics and make sure that you're building that strong foundation so that you can have the success that you're having. And I want to point out to everyone, you said you're in year 2 and you're just starting to take that paycheck within this year. Don't be in a hurry to make it this big empire, because it does take those small, simple steps and the patience and growth and research and all the grittiness that you've talked about on this episode.
Yeah, 100%. I think honestly, if you're in a job and you're taking that paycheck, find a way to work this around. Can you go part-time? Can you drop a day, perhaps reduce hours? But try and keep that paycheck as long as you can, because that will actually also help you with funding and just take the pressure off. I think this having to be the big thing that needs to succeed for sure.
Yeah. That's a piece of advice everybody needs to hear. I've done it both ways. So when you would quit the job too soon because you're like, we're making money, it's working, I guess we're successful, that will add a whole other layer. So glad we threw that in there. It's important to know.
Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing all of this insight, really just giving us a complete behind the scenes look at what it took from idea to complete success on the other end. And I know you're still growing. We're so excited to support you. It was lovely to talk to you, and your story is very inspiring to people at probably all levels of business. So thank you again for coming on. Unfortunately, the very end of our episode got cut off a little bit before Lou had a chance to say goodbye. But I told her that I would make sure that you guys all knew where to follow her and find her online. So if you want to learn more about Strapsicles, just go to strapsicle.com. They're on Amazon. We'll link to all of this in the show notes. And if you want to follow along with Lou herself, I'm going to also include her LinkedIn and her Instagram. If you're inspired by Lou, you want to keep following the journey, you want to check out Strapsicle, that's where you need to go. Thank you so much to Lou and our show sponsors for making this episode possible. We love bringing the most high-value episodes we possibly can to our audience. And I particularly love when we can see something different that hasn't been done before and understand what really goes into that product development and selling. And I really love Lou's perspective and what she was willing to do as a founder. I learned so many things for myself as a founder of my own business, what grit and determination and avoiding shiny object syndrome needs to look like. So thank you again for coming on, bringing your expertise. And to all of you listening to the Millionaire University podcast, we'll see you guys on the next episode. Have a wonderful day.